hills and stuff. Like, it's just...
Yeah. And you know what? I am kind of happy that the streets were really busy, though. Because I've driven in San Francisco before. Have you been to San Francisco?
I haven't driven in it, but I've been there.
Traffic's a nightmare. I had to drive like a rental truck to pick up a bunch of gear and parallel park on streets to load up grills and just you're stuck in traffic for forever. So I'm kind of happy that there was a lot of traffic. Like Bullet, there's not much traffic in it.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes me happy that they're wiping people. It kind of seems like that's the way a car chase would be. But after Mason does murder some cops, and he's like, I hope they have insurance. It's like, well, I hope they have life insurance. It's the one, okay, it's the one sore spot of the film for me. Do you think that, so do you like that car chase?
I've never really given it much thought, to be honest. I'm like, oh yeah, I love the one-liner. It's like, oh, you just like ruined your Ferrari or whatever. But, oh, that's a cool action beat. Mm-hmm. Like him just up this Ferrari that he's taken. And, other than that, it's not a particularly good car chase.
Mm-mm.
As car chases go, it's, fairly by the book. He's just like driving, and you don't really get a sense of, Nick Cage is in a Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Mason is in a Hummer. How fast do those things go, and how fast does a Ferrari go realistically?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you need to be driving, at peak performance in a Ferrari to catch up with that Hummer. You could catch it in, 20, 30 seconds.
Pretty quick. Yeah, pretty quick. Especially since the Hummer's knocking everything out of the way.
But that's not unique to this movie.
Huh?
Like, if you look at every movie, every cop TV show, everything, it's always like, why are all the cars always the same speed? Why don't you just have someone who, just gets into a car and then just puts their foot down and is like, oh, it seems like their engine is bigger than ours. I guess we can't catch them.
Yeah, but I guess I live with it now because I never liked it. I would always complain about it, but after hearing Michael Bay talk about it, after hearing the Sean Connery story, and you and I just establishing how it helps further some beats of the story, it makes sense. It's cool. I mean, it also gives a good insight into Michael Bay, because if you think about all the car chases in his films, Bad Boys, The Island, Transformers, there's so many car chases. So I guess it's just a staple of what he does.
And, that shot, the, basically spinning, upward panning hero shot, like,
yeah,
that's trademarks practically. Like,
oh, it's beautiful. And someone broke down how many people have tried to recreate that shot, but they haven't really figured out the camera movement that Michael Bay adds to those shots to make it look so epic. So it's one thing to just have an actor stand up, or to dolly along the side and then have the actor stand up. But the way he films it is he just sort of lifts the camera up with the actors, and it makes it come across as so cool. It
lifts, but it also rotates at the same time. And I think there might be a little bit of a pullback as well, or like an adjustment in like the aspect ratio or something, like basically pulling out to a wider angle.
That's Michael Bay's. Well, Hitchcock did it first, but then Spielberg. But that's Michael Bay's push zoom.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it looks great. And it's in all of his movies. And it should keep staying in his movies because it looks cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a cool shot.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, so how about this?
Like, that's the problem with like cool shots. You end up, with people copycatting them, and all of a sudden they become, rote. And it's like, oh, you just see it everywhere, and it loses its appeal. Like, same with Bullet Time in The Matrix. It's like there was a whole spate of movies, just every movie had this slow-mo action in it, and it was like done to death.
Mm-hmm. It works because it's organic, would you say? Because he did it first. And so I think you nailed it, because after Matrix came out, there's so much wire work. Yeah. There was so much bullet time, and none of it felt organic. So it all just felt very yawny.
Yeah, whereas in The Matrix, it made sense in the context of the movie, almost like having that shot.
Yeah. I do like that Blade featured a kind of bullet time, not with all the cameras surrounding him to the certain extent, but when Deacon Frost dodges the bullets. Blade's underrated. I love that movie. No, but yeah, I think you're right. We get that iconic shot. They had done that in Bad Boys 2. They did it in Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. But yeah, it's okay. You sold me on it. This has been. I've always loved The Rock, but I've never liked the chase. But now I understand all the cool things that come from it, so it feels totally fine to me now. I dig it. I just had to spend some more time with it and not hate on it.
Yeah, it's fit for purpose, I think, is the kind of
Man, so Michael Bay actually told a story in that chase. That's what I like when action scenes tell a story, and that's what this one did. I'm happy. Hey, so how about this? After that mind-blowing revelation, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more. The Rock. We will be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And this has been a tough one for me, Niall, because there's just so much to talk about in this movie. It's
full of little things that we could go into hours worth of content on just tiny little things. Maybe to follow up your Deep Blue Sea podcast, you need to do a The Rock podcast.
Ooh, The Rock Minute. Oh, that'd be amazing. And I actually wrote a Cracked article just about Bokeem Woodbine's Crisp character in this scene. At the end, when it's down between Fry and Barrow, and then you have Francis and Baxter standing off.
Yeah.
And they're like, Crisp, disarm the general. But in the background, Bokeem Woodbine's doing some excellent acting. Like, he could have just been, not doing anything in the background.
There, the background just being a guy.
Mm-hmm. But you learn that he had been with Hummel since Desert Storm, so he's really conflicted. He's looking scared. When they yells, he flinches. He's really torn about what he should do. So you have the 10th name on the call sheet putting in great work in a scene where he's the 5th character in the scene. There's too much. It's like when we did Back to the Future, Niall, when you pitched that to me, then I realized how much that world is loved with the documentaries, the books, the time travel. This is a dense movie, and I think it works too. You have Tony Todd in here. You have Michael Biehn. This is a loaded, but I guess that was the thing in the 90s, right? Where you had Con Air with.
That was a super loaded cast as well, right?
Yeah, it's just an embarrassment of riches in this movie, and I think that's what this one had too. And that's really, obviously this is Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, and Don Simpson actually passed away shortly before this was made. So that he helped get this made, and then he passed away. Then it just became because it was Bruckheimer-Simpson, right?
Yeah.
And then it just became Bruckheimer. But you had two of the biggest producers in the world. You had a young hotshot director. So actually, Michael Bay did a background video for Days of Thunder, and that's how he met these guys.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then that's why they brought him in for Bad Boys. And he kept turning down The Rock, Michael Bay, because I guess the script was really bad.
Well, yeah, as you said, they went through however many script doctors to get it to where it was for shooting.
And then you have Nick Cage rewriting it on set. I gotta tell you, I love the movie making process sometimes, because just the amount of insanity on these film sets, and then this movie had 4 editors.
Really?
4 editors. And Michael Bay was talking about that, and he said that normally I'm in the edit bay with all the editors, but he's like, I had one editor who didn't want me in there with him, but he still did great stuff. So I guess there are editors who were better with character scenes, and there was people who were better with action scenes. So this was hacked up by 4 people.
Like, you'd have some people who are they just have an eye for a certain kind of shot or a certain kind of sequence.
4 of them, though. It's just a wild movie. This was a by committee movie, but it still feels like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, well, I think he's got enough of his stamp on it, like just in the shot choice, in the action beats, whole kind of the flow is still very, very Michael Bay. And I assume he would have had final say over the edit anyway, like regardless of what the editors actually did.
No, I think you're right. And also, Ed Harris was talking about, I've read about this before, where people working on Michael Bay movies, they don't really know where all the cameras are sometimes. Michael Bay will just be like, act. And so you have to be very instinctual. I think actors like doing it because it's a fast-moving thrill ride. When you work with Clint Eastwood, you get 1 or 2 takes. When you work with Michael Bay, you get 5, 6 cameras, and you're in a giant set. So it must test you to a certain degree. And Ed Harris said that he was shot from every single angle you could think of, but most of his shots were just headshot. Like, he was mostly just tied up on his face. He's like, and I get why you do that. He's like, I don't know why they film my feet then during these scenes.
Well, maybe it would have looked cool. Maybe he wanted to
exactly. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? People complain about that, but I'd rather have enough footage than not enough. I mean, you're in Alcatraz. Like, you're there. You got to shoot.
Like, the thing is, yeah, if you've got the resources to run 6 cameras at once, then run 6 cameras. Like,
if you can afford that much film, then
yeah, just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, shoot it.
And they did. I mean, this was $75 million back in the day. So with inflation, that easily jumps to 150, 140 million. That's big for an action picture. And with inflation worldwide, it cleared 500 million. Like John Wick doesn't even do that anymore. I miss the days of gigantic non-superhero, non-sequel action movies. Speed, True Lies. It won't come back.
The days of like the tentpole just action movie are gone. Like, it's all franchise. It's all about churning out these profit-making films like clockwork, and it's just like, okay, this franchise made $1 billion in its last iteration. Okay, let's make another one of them in 2 years, and we'll just release it, and the same billion people will go and see it.
It's hard to hate on it because it makes money, and that's also where Michael Bay has sort of thrived with his sequels. I mean, all the Transformers movies. He's controlled that empire. And so I guess for him, I think he's, like he said on the commentary, he seems to just be happy to get a movie every 2 years with a $100 million budget that will make money, because he knows that'll make more money the next go around. Did you see Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds?
No, I don't think so.
It's a Michael Bay movie with Ryan Reynolds, Melanie Laurent. It is insane, Niall. It's what happens when Michael Bay gets Netflix money in full control. He doesn't have 8 editors and 4 producers and Jerry Bruckheimer. Six Underground is this pure distilled Bay. This comes out as the moonshine out of the still. This does not go into barrels and get aged. It doesn't go.
Raw.
Yeah.
If you drink it, it will rot your insides, kind of stuff.
And then it doesn't get finished in sherry casks. Like this is just hooch made by Michael Bay, and it's glorious. But some of it doesn't make sense. It's very crisp and clean. A lot of people die.
Pretty much Ryan Reynolds could probably carry anything. Like, I love him. He's just so good.
So it's about this billionaire who pays a bunch of people to pretend like they're dead, so then they can just go around the world free of being part of an organization, and they can right the world's wrongs, and they're ghosts. So
that's delightfully weird.
Yeah, dude. There's the magnet scene in Six Underground. It's so heightened. Like, so you know in the Transformer films, where everything is heightened. Shia's yelling, the parents are yelling, John Turturro's yelling, Mark Wahlberg's yelling, TJ Miller's yelling, everybody's yelling, Kelsey Grammer's yelling. There's just a lot of yelling. Yeah, Kelsey Grammer's in one of those. I think he's either the Extinction or Last Night, one of those. But you have everybody yelling. But in Six Underground, man, you gotta watch it. It's crazy, and it's just it's the moonshine of Michael Bay movies, like just pure distilled Bay in your eyes, and it burns a little bit, and it makes you tired, and it's very oof. It's not this movie, that's for sure, but no, I dig it. And there's a couple more things I liked about this movie. There's some good quiet moments in this film. I think William Forsythe gets some good work to do as FBI agent Ernest Paxton. He does good work. I like his quiet moment with Nick Cage in the bathroom, where Nick Cage is barfing, or Stanley Goodspeed's barfing.
Yeah, and just there's like, look, man, I'll be there to back you up. I'm sorry you're vomiting right now, but
yeah, he's like, you trained for this. It's a sensitive moment, right? It's a really interesting, quiet scene of a film, and that's why I like it. It should play very tonally imbalanced, but the quiet scenes, I think, work just as well as the other ones. And you can tell that Connery and Cage liked each other, too. What's up?
On that, so the callback there is that basically you can see that he's kind of an understanding guy. So at the end, then when Goodspeed is like, oh, yeah, he's vaporized, he backs him up and is like, oh, yeah, that can totally happen. That's,
that can happen? You can get eviscerated? Yeah. You can get vaporized? Oh, yeah, that can definitely happen. Oh, I love that. It's just, I don't know, I don't even know why that character's in the movie, Forsyth, right? It could have just been Womack. But for